Yeah, Panda, my internet. This is probably only going to be a 1 hour discussion today, guys. My internet is shocked. Like, literally, Ann and I did a test, what, 45 minutes ago, Ann? Like an hour ago, going, hey, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Mercury went retrograde last night. And to welcome us into Mercury going retrograde, it was like every electronic in our house. Nick was fighting with his computer. I was fighting with my computer. Internet was terrible. I mean, just terrible. This morning I got up. Messenger wouldn't work. Messenger hasn't worked for me properly for 3 days. So if you've sent me a message on Messenger and I haven't responded, it's because I'm having really weird Messenger shit happen.
Yeah, we had a power outage yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I kind of thought we might end up having one because we had a big thunderstorm here. I was kind of semi-waiting, going, "Oh, we're gonna lose power. We're gonna lose." No, we didn't lose power though. I'm kind of impressed.
And it wasn't from a storm. It just went out like for maybe like 3 minutes or something like that.
Just decided to turn off for no apparent reason.
Right.
Oh, you gotta love that. I mean, Gozo, that happens all the time. When we were in Malta, oh my God, every time you turn around, it'd be like the power would just go out and you'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? Oh yeah, you go out and there'd be like a truck on the street. They'd be like, oh, we're just going to go here and replace this. And I'm like, and you didn't think to warn everyone that you're turning off the power for an hour? Oh,
yeah.
Well,
that would be
really,
nice.
I've just lost an entire document because I was working on it when you cut the power. I'm like,
I was doing my show earlier. I'm in Australia. It's 10 to midnight, so Wednesday morning. Anyway, because I'm through Revolution Radio, the player on the website started looping, and I couldn't hear that because we're actually talking like this, and it's the same 2 sentences over and over again. So eventually, someone freaked out and's gone, "For fuck's sake!" The thing, so I had to restart the call. So that was a fuck up. And then because I record the Skype so I can put it up on my YouTube, the second video didn't record at all, which has happened to me a couple of times on Skype, because Skype's so grouse. As well as I've just changed for here in Australia, we finally have what you would call normal internet, but it's 3 times as faster. But I was on a call with a friend doing a radio show, and it dropped out 5 times.
Oh.
At 1 o'clock in the morning, because everyone's using internet at that time. And then I saw your post, Mercury, and I'm not a big fan of the Mercury retrograde because it's reflecting what's happening to you. It's like, no, this time everything's just rooted, because I think in the last 24 hours, a lot of someone somewhere behind the curtains been fucking around with the internet.
Well,
as well.
I'll tell you this story, Monty, because you weren't here. I've told the story several times. A good friend of mine who's all into the woo-woo, in the energetics, etc. And her husband is the most straightforward, he's a sound engineer, right? So he's he's a real logical type guy. I've met him. He's really lovely, but he's a very engineer, science, right? Yeah. So she tells me this story, I guess it's got to be 3 years ago now. He does audio stuff for like big corporations, like when they're doing conventions and stuff. That's his specialty.
Conferences,
massive conferences and that. So he goes in, and they're in a conference center. It's an IBM conference they're doing. He goes to the conference center, and the team that's doing all the lights and the video is a group of guys that he knows because he's worked with them before. So you get to and they're there early, got 2 hours before they can actually set up. So they all go to the bar. They're sitting there at the bar having a drink, and one of the guys comes in from a phone call and says something like along the lines, "Okay, guys, be prepared. It's going to be all fucking insane today. Be prepared. And they're all like, what? And he goes, it's Mercury retrograde. And all the guys on the like lights and video side of it are all like, are you fucking kidding? They're holding this conference during Mercury retrograde? Are they fucking kidding? And my friend's husband is sitting there going like, because these guys again are like, he knows them, like they're like engineering types. They're like, give me the fucking hardcore science data. Like they're not woo woo at all.
Yeah.
And he went, what? And they go, oh fuck yeah. Like, and the one guy works for IBM. Like that's all he does is just IBM. And he's like, oh fuck yeah. He says, we charted out. The IT departments know when Mercury's going into retrograde, you don't plan any fucking releases. None. None. And he says, I was shocked when I discovered that they'd planned this conference when it's a Mercury retrograde. And the IT department had already told the head honchos, no, guys, bad timing. Change it to another time. And he literally got home to his wife and was like, so I just found out that like apparently this astrology Mercury retrograde shit is actually real. And he was like eyes like this going, and he's telling her, and they all sat down and were telling him stories and saying, oh yeah, like we just know, like IT departments double up on staff for Mercury retrograde because they know everything is going to go fucking haywire. Everything's going to crash. Everything's going to go wrong. So you've got double staff on for the entire time.
So it's like the full moon where emergency rooms are stocked up and the police are. You cannot actually tell him that from a scientific point of view because the planets are tethered to the sun.
Electric universe.
Yeah, and so as it goes retrograde, where we're doing the catching up or whatever it is, it would make because I'm sure the planets are connected somehow. They would interact frequency-wise, energetically. And if Venus is pausing, the Earth's gone, well, I'll just put that through the electronic system so everyone can just yell at their computer.
That's right. Yay. Let everyone yell at their computer instead, because that's more fun.
Yes, but I do find it interesting. It's there's two things of thought, two different types of thought where it's a reflection of your existence. It was like, well, maybe if you're generating it, but you also got the flip side of like the planet.
My existence did not change between yesterday morning and last night.
Yeah, now. No, I'm angry now because the electronics are fucked.
Yeah, well, exactly the reason I'm fucking frustrated. Like I literally, because I knew I'd been talking to Amina and Megan, so I knew it was coming up this month. I knew it was coming up, so I literally got up this morning. The internet was shockingly bad for first thing in the morning, and I'm the only one in the house awake. It's not like the kids are all up using devices, etc. I'm the only one up. Nothing. Like literally, the computer wouldn't talk to the printer. The Facebook wasn't working. I couldn't get my emails to open. And you're just, wait. And I go type in, Mercury retrograde 2020 starts January 17th. I'm like, ta-da.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
That reminded me as well, just even today where I would click on a page or go to a link, you are not connected to the internet while a YouTube clip's playing. Like, well, that's fascinating. And then when I had when the problem with the Skype losing the connection, it said, finish connecting your Wi-Fi. There's a fucking cord from there to there. Well, I don't need Wi-Fi. It's hardwired in.
I know.
Amazing it's science. Sorry?
Go ahead.
I was just about to rant a little bit about science. Isn't it amazing that they are telling us like astrology and stuff isn't real, but yet we are in our solar system and the planets are literally trapped in the sun's gravity well, which connects everything literally to one another, right? And they're still telling us, oh, it's just stuff,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it. If anyone's been watching the shows, especially over the last, how long have we been doing the astrology stuff? Like about a little over a year, I think. 2 years? No, year and a half. It's because I was talking electric universe stuff. like I was talking from perspective of electric universe, the interactions between planets as they move and those connections that we know exist, that science has now proven exists, right? And then I got a message from Megan and Amina going, you're talking like astrology, right? And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, that's what we talk about. Like, you're using scientific electric universe terms, but we're over here. Like, that's exactly what astrology is talking about. And that's why I started doing the astrology shows with the ladies, is because there is, the more you look at it, this direct correlation. Well, I mean, why would the ancient peoples, and I'm talking ancient peoples, the ones who fucking knew where all the planets were, planets that they couldn't possibly have seen even if they had a telescope, why did they rely so heavily on astrology? Why does the royal family have their own royal astrologer? Right? Like, this is the type of stuff like that. It is there. It's this. They try to push it all into the woo woo and make it all like, oh, astrology, fucking, that's stupid. That's just hippy dippy stuff.
And Satan.
But
It's all about Satan.
yeah, exactly.
But well, the way I sort of see it as well, it's a way of looking at the timeline, because where the planets are, just off the top of it, Pluto's in Capricorn, and you look at the last time that Pluto was in Capricorn, and you had the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and all that. So that's how I try. If people, I don't believe in astrology. Well, did you know? And you're using science. Well,
yeah, exactly. Let's put the dates together here, folks. Let's put the dates together here.
Yeah. And especially like, the ancients, like the Mayans and stuff, because they didn't have any light. They could see all the stars, and if they've been around long enough, you can, you see the patterns. And their calendar, which it always made me funny, where like it's the end of the Mayan calendar and it's like a 2-ton ring, and I better throw that out. No, you can do that. You can use it again.
You can use it again. It just starts over. That's all.
You don't have to put it out on the front lawn with everyone else.
Oh, one of my favorite, and I posted it continuously in the lead up to December 21st, 2012, was the guy in a little cartoon of like the one guy in like the chieftain's kind of headdress, and the other guy coming in with the stone saying, I finished that calendar. I only had room to go up to December 21st, 2012. And one of the other guys going, boy, that's going to fuck people over at some point in the future.
Have you seen that meme of well, the one meme is one of the Mayans was dyslexic and he actually got the date wrong.
Yeah.
And other people are saying that, oh no, it's now because of the Gregorian calendar, or I like to call it the Pope's work schedule. It's out by 8 years, and so I think that's sort of justifying.
I've read a lot about that. I've done a lot.
But hey, if it's off 8 years, doesn't that kind of mean that 2020 could literally be 2012?
Yeah, that's one of the things I've been talking about on the shows for like the last 6 months, and saying like, nah, guys, it feels an awful lot like 2012 to me. But that's just it. I mean, when you realize the fuckery that's happened in the calendars, and every time they change the calendars, there's more fuckery that happens. And there's several people who've put out stuff who've gone and tracked thrown and gone like, we know that there's X many years missing here. Because they literally crumpled them up and threw them away like in the 1600s. And we know that there's X many years over here missing over here. Because same thing, something happened, a treaty was signed and something was finnicled, and next thing you know, they went, yeah, let's just change that. And they literally changed the dates. And what does it take in a society that's being run by post, is done by ships, and a letter to go from, the New World to England could take 3, 4, 6, 12 months to be delivered. It doesn't take long. If they could change shit, and then you just got to seep the change of dates out in there into the public, and who's going to know? If you're dealing with like for example, the one that happened, which was in the late 15 or early 1600s, the one change, the vast majority of people were illiterate. So they couldn't, it's not like they had newspapers that came out every fucking day, and they could look at the date at the top of the newspaper and say, hey, wait, I thought it was 1621. Now they're saying it's 1616 or 1630 or whatever. People wouldn't have known. So, like this, it's not outside the realms of possibility that literally entire years were just chucked away because it was convenient for the ruling elite at that time.
I mean, especially if a lot of people were illiterate.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, they were. Hey, Danny, just think of the story of the Rothschilds and how they got started. Granted, it was on a shorter time frame, but it's the same point that you're making about, they got there with the news and manipulated the stock market within a matter of a few days or weeks, whatever it was, and they changed the whole scenario of Western Europe for the next 500 freaking years, literally. And that's historical. Everybody knows about that.
Yep, exactly. Welcome to the UnFuckIt Discussion, everyone. We're halfway through the conversation. No, it is June 17th. Holy shit. It's June 17th. Where to start? Because the world is completely fucking insane. And I know, as I say, every week we say it's insane, but every week it gets more insane. And we're running out of words to be able to describe it. And there's some shit going on right now. I'm going to monologue for a second. And this is going to come out kind of clumsy because I had this whole discussion yesterday and today with Nick. It was much more organized then. But I'm going to try my best to kind of sort of semi-repeat it. There's all kinds of shit going on. Shit that we've talked about, right? We've talked about the distractions. We've talked about coronavirus and the fact that it obviously was a massive distraction. It was very obvious that the virus was not what they said it was. It's very obvious from the information coming out that it's nowhere near what they said it was. And that there has been an ongoing stream of lies that have been perpetuated by governments and by health authorities and especially the mainstream media to perpetuate the story. And the question we kept asking was why? And we say, okay, well, you've got all these reasons. You say, oh, they want to do mass vaccinations. Okay, yeah, that's one piece you can put on the table. They want to put everyone into a controlled structure, almost like a martial law, without calling it martial law, but we're going to kind of put it into martial law. Yep, that's another piece. Put it on the table. That they want to get people programmed, right? Now, that's a major one. The programming that's gone on for the last couple of months of social distancing, no hugging, no kissing, no shaking hands, stay away from each other, making people feel isolated and feel that they have to remain isolated. This is all heavy duty programming. And that programming is rolled out very, very nicely for them because we see it in the muggles. We can see that a lot of them have really bought into this. But above and beyond all that, this whole thing, as we have said since February, feels like a distraction because there were aspects to the shit that they kept putting out that made no sense, such as don't go outside, right? Everyone fucking knows, if people are sick, the best thing you can do is be outside in the sunshine. No, must not go outside. Close all the parks, close all the beaches. You can't even go fishing on your own property. Like it got to that stage of ludicrous where people were being arrested going fishing on their own lakefront property. So they're not even left to their own property. It's not like they've gone out in public to a beach that's closed and got arrested. Oh, look, my internet connection is unstable. Fucking delightful. It's going to be one of these days. There were rules that they put in place that didn't make sense. It didn't make sense because there was no logic that tied a virus to some of these rules that they were making. even to the point of, like not accepting money, cash money, and everything going to cards, right? It's like you're really stretching the concept of viruses when you go to this extreme. And yeah, that's another, we can go cashless society, yep, New World Order, yep, put that piece on the table. But there's other pieces that have been playing out. Some of the pieces are the pieces before coronavirus, things that we were discussing. So, for example, the Federal Reserve printing $250 billion a day. Again, and we've been talking about it for months, going like, this is a stopgap. This is like putting a plaster. It's like putting a Band-Aid on an arterial bleed. They couldn't possibly hope that by doing this, well, obviously they were not fixing the system, but it made so little logical sense. And then we have the coronavirus, and all of a sudden governments were like, right, we're going to spend, American government, $6.4 trillion. And you sit there and go, what? Like, even the most normie muggles, people were like, what now? Where's that money magically coming from? Because I'm pretty sure you just told us we don't have money to put new roads and we have to cut health and educational spending, but you've got $6.5 trillion to support coronavirus stuff. There's been pieces. Some of these pieces go back as far as 2016. It's one of the ones I want to bring up, is when we have these people, these mainstream talking head people, figureheads, these, for example, Hillary Clinton, who in 2016, as we were in the run-up to the election, it became very, very obvious that there was at least 3 different Hillary Clintons running around the country because they all looked fucking different. And I had a good friend of mine who really, really went hardcore, and he was a scientist and a research scientist. So he like dug out and he analyzed photos of her for months, from like, I don't know, about July 2016 right through past the election. And he literally was going things like doing the measurements on the ears, measurements on the nose, nostrils, etc., the mathematical equations, and saying, this is not the same person. Now, there's been a few people like that. There's been a few, i.e., the Shrub Jr., I was told by a very, very well-connected person, died back in 2012. And all you've been seeing is a double. That's just because they can't admit that he's gone, so they put a double in his place. These kinds of things we know have been taking place, or we strongly hypothesize and suspect that these type of things have been taking place. But now, all of a sudden, in the last few months, we've seen a lot more of that. And a couple of the major examples are, for example, Bill Gates and his wife. Because I watched an interview with them, and then I saw a photo, and it's the two of them standing. So they're standing side by side, so you really get a perspective. They're pulled back, you can see the whole thing. And I looked and was like, when did Bill Gates get remarried? And one of my friends was like, no, that's his wife. And I'm like, no, it's not. His wife was like she was just little teeny thing, like little. She was like, he's not very big, but she was just wee. And then I watched this interview with him, and I'm like, first of all, that's not his fucking wife. I'm not even sure that's a woman, honestly. Like, I mean, seriously, I'm not one to comment on looks. I mean, but that was one ugly man in drag. Didn't look anything like his wife. He didn't even look like himself. And I went back and I started pulling up pictures of him just from a couple years ago. And I was going, that's not Bill Gates. all these interviews that he's been on, like they just keep all through the coronavirus, because apparently now he's the world's greatest knowledgeable person when it comes to viruses. Ha ha ha. They kept putting pictures up, and I kept looking at it. That doesn't look right. That doesn't look right at all. And then there's been a few others. Well, just a little while ago, earlier this month, or maybe end of May, there was a big, lovely New World Order announcement. It's quite a spectacular video that really rolls out exactly how they're playing out Agenda 2030. And in it, there's an interview with Prince Charles. And I'm looking and I'm like, who the fuck's that? That's not Prince Charles. And I'm looking, and it becomes like a train wreck where you have to watch every single part of the video, and you're like, that's not Prince Charles. That's not Prince Charles. So I go through and I start reading some of the messages, some of the messages that have been posted under the video. And there's a shit ton of people who are all going, my family are royalists. I get stuck having to watch fucking royal family discussions, etc. all my entire life. That is not fucking Prince Charles. No. Now, I mean, here's the thing. Every caricature you've ever seen of Prince Charles on any website and any newspaper, how do they make him look? I can't even do it because my hair's down. Every caricature is like Prince Charles, and he's got the fucking ears that come out to here. You look at this guy, he's got fucking totally normal ears pinned right back to his head. Now, are you telling me that Prince Charles finally got really, really fucking vain in his 70s and decided to have his ears pinned in a nose job? No, this guy is not Prince Charles. And Nick and I were like, this is getting weird, like even more weird. Earl had posted a picture with looking at Justin Trudeau's face. Isn't it funny how he came out of quarantine and all of a sudden now he's got a beard, a full beard, and this mustache, and you look at his teeth, it's not the same teeth. The teeth are one of those things, right? Teeth are one of those things. It's not the same teeth. And it's a great way, beards and mustaches are a very good way to hide if there's a decided change in jawline. You grow a beard and a mustache and you can hide a lot of shit underneath that would define physical features. Queen Elizabeth makes a speech. What was it, in May? It was an out of the blue, unscheduled royal speech. And the same thing, like I grew up, like my family's British. So my grandma, like the whole family, I've seen a shit ton of Queen Elizabeth's speeches, and of course analyzed a lot of them over the years. I've watched a lot of them to analyze them. And I'm looking, and one of the very first things that hits me is like, what's wrong with her teeth? Like, what's wrong with her teeth? Like, I'm sorry, Queen Elizabeth always has had pristine teeth, like perfectly even, this woman is talking, and like as her mouth would open, you'd be like, she's got like a fucking snaggle tooth. There's like one fucking tooth that's out here. I'm like, but the Queen is now put herself into seclusion at Windsor Castle. No one has seen hide nor hair of her for 2 months. To the point of the BBC put an article out last week or the week before that I don't know how they thought they were going to get away with it, because they got lambasted. And it's a picture of Queen Elizabeth on a horse. And at a glance, I looked at the picture and was like, fucking Lizzie's doing pretty fucking good. She's in her mid-90s and she's fucking up horseback riding? Holy shit. And then I read, and they're saying, oh, Elizabeth, we haven't seen Queen Elizabeth in weeks, but here's a picture of her riding her horse out at Windsor Castle. And multiple people are going like, that picture is from like 2002 when she announced that she was not going to be riding horses anymore because she's just not physically capable of it. And these were the muggles. This wasn't like, UnFuckers, our crew. This was like the general public going, that picture is almost 20 years old. What the fuck are you pulling, BBC? What kind of bullshit are you pulling? that you're posting this picture of a very glaringly old photo of her. So I'm sitting here and I'm going, so many pieces coming out. And Nick and I talked about, like, okay, are these guys, have they all bunkered down? Have they all disappeared and bunkered down? And they've got their body doubles out there taking their place?
I mean, isn't it a little bit weird that we have like the Black Lives Matters protests, and literally in England, who would be the person you really want to piss off about slavery and stuff like that? Wouldn't that be the royal family? And isn't it convenient that they are right now out of the crosshairs, somewhere safe, somewhere, you know what I mean?
Oh, I don't even want to get into the fucking Black Lives Matters shit, because, oh my God, I may completely lose my head. Oh, Mr. Bumblebee, leave the kitchen, please. Big Bumblebee just flies in. Here's the thing, though. There's another article that comes out. Now, in the last year, we have now seen non-stop articles talking about outer space, new planets being discovered, new moons, all this stuff. And there's a new article that comes out, and it's a study saying that they've discovered at least 36 planets in our Milky Way system that are, at the very least, at our level of technology, and in some cases they're saying who we could communicate with. Now you go through and you read the whole study, which of course I did. You go through and you read the study, and it's like, they've analyzed all the planets around all these stars according to Earth variables, of course, because apparently everything has to resemble Earth to have life or technology. And they've come up with this number. There's at least 36 planets in our Milky Way who have basically intelligent aliens on them that we could communicate with. And I said to Nick, like, this is another one. This is the whole one of those lead up to disclosure. We've had a solid year of news, studies, announcements that are very obviously leading towards disclosure. Now, what kind of disclosure? How is it going to be disclosure? And I find it very, very interesting. And God knows we know in the UnFuckers, because all of us have posted the pictures too, all the way through 2020, it's been like, and next month there's going to be an alien invasion. That was like in April, next month, alien invasion. In May, next month, alien invasion. June, July, every month, this month. That's been a big meme. And next month, the next crazy, insane thing that's going to happen is going to be an alien invasion. And there's a lot of people who are talking about the false alien invasion narrative, who are, there's warning about all this kind of stuff. But I'm kind of going back and saying, oh, I don't know, folks. It's very obvious to me, in my opinion, that something is going on, and all these big power brokers, they know about it. They know whether it's a cataclysmic event, like a big natural disaster a la Armageddon with the asteroid coming, or a super volcano, whatever, and they've all bunkered down somewhere underground where they think they're safe. Or is it a matter of the aliens are coming and they know they're coming? And what if these guys are literally in hiding? Because one of the things we have been told, and this has been for me since 2010 when I started researching this shit. Granted, very new agey stuff, but one of the things that was always told was that when the aliens show themselves, they're going to be bringing all the truth, i.e. where humanity came from, what's been going on over history for the last, pick a number of how many fucking thousands of years, etc., etc. And the one thought I had this morning was, if all of a sudden someone shows up, anyone, doesn't matter, just someone shows up who can prove irrefutably the history of the world, the history of what has been done to humanity. You think these BLM fucking riots are bad? What do you think would happen if all of a sudden you find out what all these royal families and all these religious leaders, etc., etc., when you start finding out what they have done, there wouldn't be a stone left standing on any of those castles.
Wouldn't it immediately unite us under one banner as humanity? Like literally?
Wouldn't it just, Bossy? Wouldn't it just? Because at that point, you got there is no more. The division becomes very, very, very clear. It's us and them, and regardless of what color, race, or religion you are, it very clearly becomes an us, all of us united against them. It's just something that I'm sitting here looking at, and I'm saying, we've been talking for months that something is coming. We can feel it. We can feel it. We can feel that there's something. And then we have those moments where all of a sudden everything comes to a pause, and you sit there and you go, what just fucking happened? Ann and I have had this conversation, I don't know how many fucking times. Ann and I, like, going, woke up this morning, everything just went to stop. Everything just stopped. Everything just went pause. What the fuck just happened now?
But this all could be Nisara playing out. Like,
no, don't. Earl, don't play the Nisara card here. Remember what I was involved with for many years was Nisara. I have all the background on Nisara and Jasara. Jasara doesn't exist, never has existed. It is a made-up construct because all of a sudden all the RV people started spreading out of America, and it was Canada and England and France and Germany, and they had to, all of a sudden, they all wondered, well, when do we get our little prize like Nisara? And they had to invent Jasara. It is a construct. It was made up in 2015. I love you, Earl. I'm not going to go there. Just not going to go there. That's just me. Sorry. That's one of my trigger points, right? That's one of my trigger points. And it's because I spent years working on that fucking shit and gathering intel. And so,
what about a bit of opium? Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Mercedes.
Yeah,
to those body doubles. They might need them now, because if they are really the invaders, those royals and people in high places, because of frequency changes, they might not be able to hold their known shape.
Yeah, could be. Fucking could be. Regardless, it still comes down to the fact of it's obviously not them. Like, there is obviously body doubles being used here. But yeah, no, hey, listen, I don't take that piece off the table, Mercedes. That's a piece. We don't know.
Another one from a opium perspective is that we're seeing mass arrests behind the scenes and people are being released out. Now, I have no idea if that's true or not.
Maybe.
I'm just here to watch. Yeah. Because a lot of people are sharing that narrative.
Absolutely. And you know what? I keep saying this. Everyone knows I don't like the QAnon stuff, and I honestly think that the QAnon stuff is a massive distraction in and of itself. A very one-sided distraction in and of itself. I'm not saying to say it's not happening. We have no evidence of it happening. That's what I mean. Really, I totally 100% hope it's happening. 100%. I fucking would stand up and applaud. If it's happening, fucking on you go. I'm totally for it. But I'm not willing to bet my last dollar on it because I don't see any evidence. There's little shit that comes out here and there, and you go, oh, yeah, that could be. No, there are some pieces that, yeah. But we all thought, or I should say all the QAnon stuff thought back in, it was like in April, it was like, oh, at Easter, and well, Easter came and went. And then it was like, oh, and April 22nd, and then it was the end of April, and then it was going to be May, and then after May, it was going to be like May 15th or 20th or whatever it was. Like it, and I'm sorry, but I've lived that existence. When I was involved in Nisara, when I was involved in the Iraqi Dinar RV, it was always, oh, next weekend, mass arrests are going to happen. Next weekend, the mass arrests are going to happen. Next weekend. Always. It was always another week. And every time you were given oh, this is the deadline, it's absolutely going to happen here. And when it didn't happen, there'd always be an excuse. There would always be an excuse. Oh, well, we tried to do this, but there was a flaw in the computer system, or someone jumped ship, or there was the rest happened, but this happened, and then we had to do that. And there was always an excuse. So I'm not willing to put all my eggs in that basket. I'm just not. I would love for it to happen. Fucking love for it all to be true. I deeply want it all to be true. But I don't believe it.
It's not there. And going with your scenario of disclosure, which is just for mainstream, because we've had disclosure. We've known all this stuff for nearly a decade. So most of us are probably just going to go,
just going to put our profile pictures, just going to say, I fucking told you so.
Yeah, only for a day, because, we got to, do it for 6 weeks. People get shitty. I told you. Yeah, you've mentioned that. But it's the whole disclosure, and the humanity finds out what has been done to it for thousands of years. The mass arrests may happen because there'll be mass lynchings and everything else like that. So it's still going to happen, but it's, as you said, like I think everyone here would be over the whole date chasing thing, where like 2012 is the perfect example, where 2012, it's the media said it's the end of the world, and the minds are going, no, it's just going to change. And in hindsight, it was a perfect day where I was. But you can see that's kind of a marker in the timeline where everything started to go wobbly. Mm-hmm. But it just took, I don't know, is it the 7 years of tribulation? What's going to happen when we come to the solstice? What's going to happen this next 6 months? Because, this year feels like a decade. And I jokingly say, and I love it, remember those heady days of February?
Those days of January that lasted 4 months.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's weird, the perception of time where days take 4 weeks to go through, and then your memory goes, oh, but yes, it stretches, but it's really quick at the same time.
Yep.
It's like, that day went really quick, and then you try and think about, for me, my birthday's in March, and it's like, I must be 48 now because I turned 46. It's the timeline is just really being stretched.
I was saying my birthday was in April, so it was the same thing. It's like, did I turn 52, or was that 3 years ago?
Oh, I keep waking up going, it's Wednesday. Apparently, feels like a Saturday. Like the energy of the days have changed.
The energy of time in general is completely wackadoodle, and I mean, everything is shifting right now. Everything is shifting, and however God knows how we even describe that. But reality has become so elusively, it's like you can't touch it anymore. Everything you think was solid is not, and just insane stuff happening all the time. I wrote a message to Anne and Gaea on Messenger yesterday. Wrote a message about something that was going on. posted it in Messenger. I saw Anne respond. And as I went to respond to her, like to answer her question, my Messenger crashed. I could send no messages, couldn't do anything. I ended up closing it down. I ended up having to reboot my computer, came back, and because I do it like basically like a system restore, pull it right back, it opens up my Messenger to the same page I was just on. My message to her and her answer back to me, gone. Anne does not, she's just like, I didn't write to you. I'm like, but I fucking saw it. I saw a response. And then everything went, and that's kind of what reality feels like right now. And it's to the point where these are happening daily, and shit is just all over the place, and time with it. Time is just, you have days where you feel like it's they have long days, like you have, oh my God, I got so much done today. It was wow. But then you wake up that next morning and that day feels like it was a month ago.
Yeah, it's like the Matrix glitching in a way, and or timelines sort of fighting for supremacy over the narrative of your personal narrative, where it's like, I sent you a message, well, I didn't get it, or I saw you send a message, but I didn't get it, and it's, you feel in. Does it feel like not a car crash, but it's a slant, like that crunch where it's like, well, hang on, like intense Mandela effects, but it's like we can see, instead of seeing in the future, we're actually in the future, and then only by half a second, and then get brought back again. It's like, you know, you're flipping in and out. Like, I'm tired and I'm over it. I'm just so over it. Where like, I've started calling everything clown world. Where like, I know we've talked about Gone with the Wind, and I remembered I actually watched it. It's a good film if you've got 4 months. It goes forever. But the lady that played Mammy. She's the slave for Scarlett. She won an Academy Award. So these idiots, by cancelling it, just cancelled out the first African American winning an Oscar. It's like, well done. And there's so many of those things where, I don't know if anyone's from Seattle, but I think they're allowing that to happen to show how, like, this free-loving communist compound is an example of, no, we shouldn't do this globally.
Yeah, but isn't it amazing that they, after 2 weeks of communism, started already to starve, and not even a day in, you had the first, in quote marks, warlord that pretended to be the law and stuff like that.
Yeah, this like, oh, we're against the wall. Oh, we've got our own country now. Put up a wall, and they've done everything where they're armed guards and everything else.
And didn't they even run through the town and stole fences and were like, oh my God, you white people, you did colonizers. I can't pronounce it. You were colonizers. You stole stuff from other people, and they did exactly the same in the city. They stole stuff and brought it in there. But what really concerns me about all of this, especially with the corona, now with the Seattle thing, or with the protests, it seems all to be like a training, you know, like if you have been in the military and you've been through boot camp, you know, they ask you to do dumb shit. They can't explain why. It's all about following orders. You have to do it no matter how stupid it sounds. I mean, that is so freakishly weird, especially now with the what is it called now? Chop zone or chess zone these days?
Yeah, well, it's Chaz, but I think they're calling it chop because the Black Lives Matter people want to chop. It's basically, instead of stopping police brutality, it's gone, oh, white people are bad, and they're just venting all the crap. And if you look at the statistics, most of the violence in the black community is done by blacks. And you've seen that where they've killed more black people during the riots than police did in the last year or something, like, you know, it's just, it is turning.
Well, the one thing I said is, like, when there are videos, multiple videos out there of black people standing in front of their business going, please don't smash my business. I'm black. This is my business. My whole family, we've been working at this for 20 years to build this business. They don't give a shit. They just went through and trashed it anyways. That's when you know that it's not about whatever they're saying it is. It's about smash, loot, burn, pillage. That's what it is about. No, I mean, this is the whole thing. I had this morning. I literally lost it on Facebook. I didn't. I was very, very good on Facebook because I posted the article and typed out my comment about 15 times and deleted it and just stuck with the one sentence of like, this is completely asinine. And that is, in Scotland, somebody has defaced a statue of King Robert the Bruce and saying he's a racist, and they have to tear down the statue.
Mm-hmm.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Didn't he fight for freedom and all this stuff? You know, didn't he make Braveheart after this character?
This Robert the Bruce. First of all, in that day and age, I can guarantee he'd never seen a black person. Not even one. So how can you be racist if you've never even seen one? He had all his worries were focused on the English. He didn't give a shit what was going on anywhere else in the world, really, because his entire rule was him fighting off the fucking English. That's it. That's not racism. Sorry, it's not racism. And the explanation that they tried to give as to why someone might think he was racist was after Robert the Bruce had died. They took 7 knights or 10 knights, depending on which history you read, took his heart physically in a little casket down to the south of Spain, where the Saracens were taking over the south of Spain. And there was another, basically, like, you know, a la Jerusalem, like here the Christian knights come riding in to try and throw the Saracens out of Spain. And they brought his heart with them. And they were all wiped out. No one ever returned. They were all wiped out. And somehow, because those knights took Robert the Bruce's heart to fight the infidels in Spain, that makes Robert the Bruce racist. Like, you can't make this shit up. Like, the illogic, the insanity of it is crazy. Now, but the interesting thing is, we all know that the British have a very long history, or I should say, not the British, sorry, the English have a very long history of trying to demonize Scottish heroes. So wouldn't it just be convenient if, considering the separatist movement is building again in Scotland, very, very big right now, if the English were to send someone up there and start a whole thing about Robert the Bruce, calling him a racist, tear down the statues, it would be convenient. Not saying that's what it is. I'm not saying that's what it is. But let's face it, it would be convenient for certain perpetrators of control.
Mm. Have you seen the movie Glory?
No.
It's about I think a platoon or a brigade of African Americans that fought with the Union Army during the Civil War. And some cockhead, that's an Australian term for endearment, they've defaced the monument of that.
I know. I saw it. You're just like, going back to the statement I make that offends a lot of people, I don't give a shit if I offend you. These people need to be neutered and castrated because we don't want their genes in the human gene pool. They should not be allowed to reproduce. They're too stupid to be allowed to reproduce. If you're that stupid, we don't want your genetics in the human gene pool.
I think they've even attacked Abraham Lincoln's stuff, and they're trying to, you know, like the guy that apparently emancipated all the slaves is like, well, clearly he's a racist. So we should tear him down. I'm like, it's basically just.
But this is the thing. Like, that's when you know it's just a distraction, and that's when you know when it's been proven, hardcore proven, that Black Lives Matter, all the money that is being donated to them is going directly into the Democratic coffers for the election to get Joe Biden in. I mean, directly. The links are right there. You have to be blind and retarded to not see them. When you know that Black Lives Matter is being fully funded by George Soros, then you know it has nothing to do with the issue. It has everything to do with, let's riot, let's cause fucking shit, let's just tear shit up for whoever, we don't care. And just enrage the masses, push them out there and let them go.
the one that made me lose my shit this morning was, and Jemima has to change its name because of all this. I'm like, no. Like, the
What?
maple syrup,
Yeah.
Aunt Jemima maple syrup. Yeah, well, now it's got to change its name because of all this. It's like, really?
What?
Yeah, here in Australia, there's a beer company called Colonial Beer in Western Australia, and they're thinking about changing the name because it's in these trying times. It's like, really? Because it says Colonial, clearly you're Satan. They're pressuring everyone to change. It's 1984 on steroids.
But this is the changing of history, isn't it? Isn't this the prime wonderful excuse to be able to change history? Like, this is how history does get changed. Things like, you take Gone with the Wind off of Netflix. You take down all these incredible stories that show history as it was. These are not denigrating movies. This is showing you how it was. Is it not important? You know, the whole thing of like, history is doomed to repeat itself. So would it not make more sense to promote these movies and be like, this is what it was, therefore this is why we want to change it? That makes logical sense. Is anyone here for slavery? No, obviously not. It was a horrible, horrible period of time. And let's face it, I'm sorry, it was a horrible period of time that ran throughout history, right? Everyone likes to pretend that slavery is an American thing. No. Rome was built on slavery. Rome was built on slavery. So was the Greek Empire. The only reason why the Greeks had the ability to stand around and debate each other in public forum wearing their lovely robes is because their entire society was powered by slavery. The Egyptians had slavery. The African nations all had slavery. They used to trade, like one nation went against the other nation, they captured all the other nation, they sold them into slavery. That was, this is one of the pieces. I mean, we talk about the Irish. There was just as many Irish slaves in fucking America as there were black slaves. These are pieces of history. So yeah, it's wrong. But a little secret to everyone. We're all still fucking slaves. Every single one of us is a debt slave right now. We are debt slaves. There was no change. The only difference is that the manacles now are a social scoring system and a credit score. That's what the manacles are now. But you are a debt slave, and everyone on this planet is a fucking debt slave. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. So you want to tear down the system? I'm all for it. Totally behind you. But let's call it what it is. Let's talk about the reality of the situation. Let's talk about what's really fucking going on here. And it's not about Black Lives Matter and black versus white. No, and it never has been. That is a construct. That is a construct. Yeah, there was a time period when it was there, but that was a construct. It was placed into society as a construct. But that construct has existed throughout all time. And it is a continuously perpetuated program for eons, for millennia. And every single aspect of history has been us versus them. And the number one reason to go to war is religion and racial differences. So this is not about this one piece, but it's a great distraction. It's a great fucking distraction. Coronavirus is petering off. They can't sustain the picture. They just can't sustain the story of coronavirus anymore because fucking doctors coming and nurses coming out every fucking day talking about it and how wrong it is and how they don't have patients and how these patients don't have coronavirus and all the shit that's going on. We need another distraction. Well, guess what? All these riots and stuff are about to start petering off. So what are they going to do? Let's bring back coronavirus again. Oh no, we've got another wave of coronavirus. Everyone's got to be locked down again.
Wasn't there a video yesterday or the day before from Brazil where a guy totally fucking had it and went in some of these camps or whatever they called, or these
I haven't verified it.
zones?
I haven't verified this yet, Bossy, because my internet was so fucking sucky this morning. So I didn't get a chance to verify it. The story is, and I can never say his name right, Bolancero, who is the leader, was sick and tired of hearing all these stories about COVID-19, and he sent government people into a hospital, and this was a private hospital, that was saying, we're treating 5,000 patients with COVID-19. Oh my God, we got to charge the government. And the government was forced to pay all this money. And the agents went in, and there was not a single patient in the hospital, not even one. But they were charging the government for 5,000 COVID-19 patients that purportedly they were supposed to be treating. And yeah, that was it. And the hospital wasn't even fully built yet. Like, it wasn't even finished. So, like, they couldn't have been treating patients even if they'd wanted to. Now, again, I have not done research to verify the validity of those statements. But that is another piece being brought forward. And quite frankly, do we find it hard to believe? No, we do not. Given everything else we've seen, no, we do not. So, going back to what I said, going back to the very, very beginning of this rant, because this has been just one really big, long rant. Distraction, distraction, distraction. What do they know is coming? Because it's obviously they're stretching it out again. They've got to stretch it out. They've got to keep the people really, really fucking distracted again. Now, I get it. It is an American election year. I completely comprehend that. And if it was an American thing, you'd say, oh, this is all about the distraction leading up to the election. They've got to wreck the Democrats are trying to wreck the economy. They're trying to incite violence. They're trying to do everything they can to pull down the so-called ruling party in hopes that they can win the election. Yes. Yeah, okay. Except that, number one, hard to hear, I understand, but America is not the center of the universe. And this shit is happening all over the world. It's not just happening in America. It's happening in England. It's happening in France, Spain, Italy, China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, all over Central America, South America. It's happening in Australia. This shit is happening everywhere, which tells us this is not just about the American elections. It's not. It's bigger than that. Much, much fucking bigger. So what are they trying to distract us from? What are they trying to program us for? One of the interesting programming pieces, because the programming is being pushed, like I said, social distancing, not touching people, no more hugging, no more shaking hands, etc., etc. But one of the other pieces of programming that has been very, very well played is prepping, right? Everyone has just gone through 3 months lessons in prepping. Oh my God, toilet paper. Oh, so now how many people here only have 2 rolls of toilet paper left, or how many people here have an extra package of toilet paper somewhere in the back closet, just in case? Just in case. Everyone I know, even people who have never been preppers, who've never even, muggles who've never even understood the concept of prepping, right? They've all just had a grand lesson in what can happen when transportation stops bringing food to your store, when you have to line up to get into the store, where there's rushes for food and medication, all of a sudden, everyone within their financial capabilities, obviously, has turned into preppers. Everyone's been buying just a couple extra cans of baked beans, extra 8-pack of toilet paper that we keep in the bottom of the cupboard. Don't open that one. That's our just in case pack. Extra Tylenol on hand, extra paracetamol on hand. Maybe we better make sure we've got some cough syrup just in case, and we'll just put that in the cupboard. And we've got extra frozen veg, maybe, or we've got extra dry food. We've got instead of buying a 1 kilo bag of rice, we actually bought a 5 kilo bag of rice this time, just in case. Okay. We've had for over a year now nonstop statements from government agencies and talking heads about prepping, about how the head of FEMA 8 months ago, every American should have 2 weeks worth of food on hand. This has been going like this, just little pieces, little pieces, little pieces getting dropped in. So what do they know is coming? They've just trained everyone to prep.
At this point, I might guess we might go through a little ice age, like as if Cliff High is right again on this one. Like, I mean,
No.
think about it. If you have a food stock on hand and the programming is on stocking up everything, just follow dumb orders. I mean, if you would tell the people tomorrow, hey, we predict in the next few years the sun activity goes down, we have longer winters, like I mean, over here they were predicting we will have a record of spring and a record heat summer, and from all that it looks like, it's neither of it. It's rather cold for this time of the year this year, and who knows, right?
Yeah,
mini
but
ice age.
no, I'm not saying you're wrong, Bossy. I know what you're saying wrong. I'm saying Cliff High is wrong because Cliff High's lost the fucking plot. Sorry, I take that back. I didn't say anything. I think there are other things that I would personally put higher on the list of possibilities. That's just my personal thing there. But even if we say, don't say mini ice age, say mass environmental change. Okay, say, just call it that. We know that there's been floods, there's been tornadoes, there's been hailstorms, and this has been building for years. Like, it's getting worse. We had the wildfires in Australia. Well, guess what? Come next summer, are we going to see the same thing again? More than likely. Unless something radically shifts in Australia to give them more rain in some of those areas, yeah, more than likely. But we're seeing droughts and floods. Here in England, the month of May in England was the hottest, driest month in England in all of history since official records have been kept. The second to this past May, that just a few weeks ago, was something like July of 1959. Was almost. This was the hottest, driest month. Now, technically, that's kind of drought conditions for England. To go an entire month with no fucking rain, and we did. We went an entire month with almost not a drop of rain. People didn't know what to do. People had no concept of watering their gardens because it's fucking England. You don't need to water. It's fucking England. It's going to rain.
A lot.
But all of a sudden, what was that, DeMonte?
It'll rain a lot.
It will rain a lot. And it didn't. And it's funny because when we moved into this house, right? And we're in the Midlands. We're putting our gardens in, working on the gardens, the whole thing. And then literally, like, one of our first days of putting seedlings in, and sat there and went like, there's no outdoor tap. I'm just saying to Nick, like, what are we going to do? There's no fucking outdoor tap. How do we hook up a hose? That's kind of crazy. And then I went, it's fucking England. Of course you don't need an outdoor tap. It's going to fucking rain. Yeah, guess what? It didn't fucking rain for weeks and weeks. And we were out with a watering can and old water bottles that we were like taking water bottles and punching holes in them, filling them up in the kitchen, and then going out and watering the ground like that. That's kind of semi-drought conditions. These are the kind of shifts that we're seeing environmentally, geologically. We're seeing radically changing positions. Radically changing. Yeah, go ahead, Mercedes.
And in comparison, we had the coldest June in history.
Yep. I heard that. It was like I got a message from a friend of mine who's down in the south of Spain, and she was like, we have the fireplace going. It's fucking June. That's how cold.
Here in Australia, well, for me anyway, it's very mild. It's warm. We're like 17 degrees Celsius. It's like, okay, I thought, we're going into winter. It's not. It's supposed to be like 12 or 11 and overcast and everything else like that. It's everything seems to be going extreme. Or like if it's warm, it's warm. It's really warm. If it's cold, it's really cold. Yeah.
Yep. Well, didn't New Zealand just get the coldest temperature of all time ever measured? I think in the South Island last week or something. It was ridiculous. They had like just frigid, like -14 or something ridiculous. Like
that's cold.
And again, you're talking about a country that's like, we're not prepared for this. Like, we do not have the heating prepared for this. This is it. So, like, I don't know. So I just keep coming back to. Like, I keep looking at all these different things and saying, it seems to me that there's a lot of talking heads who are missing. A lot of them went into lockdown because they all got COVID very conveniently all at the same time, and they all, like the royal family of Spain, and Charles got COVID, and then you have like Justin Trudeau, and then you have Boris Johnson got it, and you're like all of these people all conveniently got COVID-19 and had to go into, lockdown for weeks and stuff.
Hanks, Rita Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy it. Now, there are those who sit there and say, again, it was mass arrest and that was code, so to speak. That was code for them saying, yeah, we've been, we're being processed through Gitmo or whatever. Maybe.
Yeah, but doesn't that kind of mean there are only 2 or 3 options what actually could happen? Option 1, they're all pretending to have it so that the people are following.
Yep.
Option 2, maybe the adrenochrome stash was tainted with some virus, or I don't know, maybe they had some dark ritual and someone tainted was there. But it sounds more like it was all a ploy or a plot to get us all in line, right? Like, oh my God, if they have it, we have to follow.
Could be.
More narrative. One positive aspect that I've heard, so I'm not following this, but it's popped up, is that like the whole 2-week prepping thing is that there's going to be a shift in the economy. I'm not sure how that would happen because they couldn't do it overnight or something like that, but who knows?
Like I said, I've been told that. Like, I mean, if you talk to anybody, and there's a few of you in here who are old, you know me from the days of the Dinar RV and Nasara stuff. I see who you are. We were always told that when this would happen, everything would shut down. That everything would shut down for at least a week, possibly 2 weeks, possibly even a month. And that was the whole thing again about prepping, of being, make sure you have food on hand, you have extra cash, you have, your extra gas for the car if you need it, like medicines, things like that. So that is always been part of the narrative. That's always been part of that narrative as well. And I mean, that was, like I said, one of my intel sources who was very highly placed within the Pentagon. That's what he told me. He told me that all that was going to happen. I would like to believe, I'll go back to that, I would really like to believe that it's all happening. I'd like to.
Has the story of 3 days of darkness, or a week, they've stopped pushing that little bit of like 3 days of darkness and the internet's going down, and that's disappeared, hasn't it?
Of course, because it didn't happen again.
Yeah, I know that.
It's just like, again, they tried to play that card.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's disappeared too. And no one's even bringing that up because it's like, it always does that. Like, because everyone falls for it. And then when it doesn't happen, everyone gets very sheepish looking for a while. Like, no, let's not talk about that. No, we don't want to talk about that. But then 6 months later, they'll pull out the same card again.
Yeah. But in lockdown, you don't want to turn off the internet because you'll have humanity riot. Like there'll be a revolution because, like, well, exactly. I can't watch Netflix, so I'm going to go outside and top
break
up government.
Yeah, that's right. If I can't watch Disney Channel, I'm going to go outside and tear down Parliament.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting here. I think it's been 2 weeks. I can't remember because as we're talking about time traveling through this crap that we're in. Here in Australia, about 60,000 people were doing their own Black Lives Matter protests. And it's, I think, out of, was it 40,000 or in Victoria, there's 12 cases apparently. And that's going to totally fuck up the narrative of COVID. It's like, oh, we have to sort of clamp down. Well, where's all the people sick from, the
riots? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
who would think that riots was the
and I think they're going to try the cure. Yeah, it's like how to cure COVID riots.
Yeah,
riots cure COVID-19.
Yeah, people actually aren't having weddings anymore. They're having protests. So if you want to come over and
I fucking howled. I was joking, saying that maybe we should organize an UnFuckers meetup in the UK, and we'll call it the UnFuckers protest. It's a protest. We have a right to protest.
What are you protesting, though?
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll make signs. We'll all wear T-shirts.
Yeah, long rice isn't that long.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. There we go. This is the crazy, crazy, crazy shit. Like, I don't know. You just question everything now. Everything that comes out, you look at it and you go, really? Yeah. I don't believe you. No, I definitely don't believe you. But at the same time, like, the alt media is just as bad as the mainstream media. So,
I'm from Conspiracy World. Oh my God. Oh my fucking
Like, I laughed. Someone put a post in UnFuckers, and it was like, the conspiracy theorists were deliberately given conspiracies to spread so that everyone thinks that there's a conspiracy theory. And I'm like, well, they're not wrong. They're not wrong, right? Like, it could totally happen that way.
Yeah, and because everything's been sort of disclosed, and it's been nothing new for a decade, and there's a sense of like with my conversation on my Planet Collingwood, we're at the point where it's like, so today something happened, I think, and let's just play the what if. We're playing the what if game now because there's no information. We don't know exactly what's going on, and I accidentally watched a bit of CNN. Someone put a clip up. And their station ID is CNN, the most trusted news in the world. And like, I nearly spat everything. It spat across my entire thing. Like, really? Come on.
Well, someone posted something. It was a clip that I watched this morning. I talked about that Chaz stuff in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And someone joking, it was like three people talking, like having a discussion together. And the one guy said something about CNN is denying. Now, this was recorded about 5 days ago, but they're saying like the day before he'd gone to look, and CNN was denying the existence of Chaz. Chaz doesn't exist. There is no problem. There is no thing. And the mayor of Seattle says that there's none of these demands have been made or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just sitting there going like, but we have video footage.
And
not a little bit of it. Like, not a little bit of it. Like we got a lot of it.
Paul Joseph Watson. I don't know if you look at Paul Joseph Watson, his latest one. It's like 8 minutes of "It's a Summer of Love," and then you go to the Commissioner of Police. Oh, there's all these rapes, and it's just it's totally 180 from one thing of like, no, it's fine, we're all getting along, and then he cuts to a thing where a house is on fire, and it's like, well, you have to pick a lane, or you're like, maybe during the day it's Burning Man, and then at night it's burning.
Okay, did you see the garden? I'm sorry, I wasn't going to get into this because it really is snide, and I'm going to be so
Oh God,
bitchy
have
on
you
this.
seen this garden?
Have you seen the garden that the farm they built
Before or after it got ripped
Chaz?
up? Before or after it got ripped up, because there was totally, apparently even the size of it would probably feed 30 people for a day, and it snows in Seattle.
I mean, to be honest, if someone destroyed that garden afterwards, was there anything to be destroyed? I mean,
No, I literally this show that I was watching. I wish I could remember what I was watching this morning. Oh look, thunder and lightning outside my door. It's going to get real noisy here because the thunder's been quite rumbly.
Danny,
Yeah, Deb.
I was told I was violent for laughing at the images. That was horrible. They're all just having a good time, laughing. And they said it was violent to laugh at that because they were all standing there after they had set them in 1 inch of fucking dirt.
Okay, so
Under
for those of
cardboard.
you who haven't seen this, okay,
Yeah,
so those
they
of
thought
you
it
who
was
have
going to
not seen
grow
this picture,
immediately.
I will find it. Okay, they took an open parkland, so it's an open green land, all the grass. They decide they're going to dig a garden to be self-sufficient. Great idea, fucking brilliant. Hats off. They didn't dig up the grass or dig a hole. They put cardboard down and laid out sheets of cardboard and newspaper all in this big area. Then they brought in a dump truck and dumped topsoil on top of the cardboard about this deep. And then they had plants. So they had random potted plants. I don't know, there was maybe 20 plants in the whole thing. Like, it was ridiculous. And they were sitting in the, when you go to the garden center and you buy like a tomato plant and it's in the little thin plastic pot, little square one, you just pop the plant.
Punnet, yeah.
It was in the pots sitting on top of the soil and everyone's standing around looking. So they didn't dig up the ground. They put down cardboard, put down that much fucking soil, and put some potted plants sitting on top of it. I literally was just.
That sounds like the worst reality TV show.
I
I've ever
swear
heard
I
of.
wasn't going to. They made me do it. It was all them. Yes. They all made me do it. Nick was like, "You going to talk about this?" I was like, "No." I look at this.
But hey, let's be honest, that garden looked like an open-air, human-sized litter box.
It was. Hold on. I got to pull up a picture. I have to now. I don't have a choice. That's if my internet's going to work.
You got tricked,
the other thing, Danny?
You got tricked.
Oh, I know. It's pouring out there.
All the lawn that they put it on top of, that is full of poisons. Even if they would have done anything, nothing would grow there because most of those places are using that new GMO stuff and it's sprayed with herbicides.
This is, okay, look. This is the Chaz garden. Okay, can you see that? Let's see if I can find, look there, that's the same one, a little bit of a more close-up photo. Like there are no words. Like, they literally just dumped topsoil down on top of cardboard on top of the grass, and like Deb just said, the grass has been fully sprayed with like shit for weeds, etc. So even if they had, like, it wouldn't have grown. Like, the toxic fucking sprays would have killed anything they'd put in there.
And the size of Chaz is about 7 blocks. So how many people are living there?
Well, I mean, listen, permaculture, you can grow a fuck of a lot of food on a very small area. You absolutely could.
Yeah, but that's not it.
As I said, you'd think one of them, with all their smartphones, would have Googled how to grow a tomato.
That would be work.
Did you see it? There was a video that said homeless man destroys communal garden.
And you think at least one of them was a smoker, and like they, if they grew weed, they'd know how to anyway, yeah.
I know.
But wasn't there also like this Twitter post where they accused the homeless guys that they took in that stole all their food, and then they went on Twitter? Hang on, it's not finished yet. And then they went on Twitter and asked everyone for soy and vegan food. So it wasn't just food, right? It had to be all vegan and soy and all this shit. Like, really, if you're starving,
you had to know. You had to know the homeless man was going to take out the garden. You had to know that was coming.
But the best Twitter post was somebody who was there, who had his tent set up, the whole bit, and he went to go out to go have a pee somewhere, and he came back and someone had robbed him, stolen everything, his computer, his clothes, his everything. And when he was like, okay, like, I guess that's it. I'm going to have to go home. I've got nothing left. They've taken my money. They've taken my computer. I have nothing. Someone had the audacity to respond to him on Twitter. Oh, but you know what? It was someone who was less fortunate than you, possibly had a need of that more than you needed it. And therefore they took it. And you're doing such a good job. You should stay. There are no words.
Being a victim?
Yeah.
Like, there are no words. You just sit there. Now, here's the sad part. Okay, we're all taking the piss, right? And rightfully so. We're all taking the piss, rightfully so. But the sad part of it is, there were probably people involved in this who were coming from a really good place, who were not part of Black Lives Matter, who were not part. They were genuinely like, we need to take down the system. We need to rebuild the system. Hey, let's build a garden. We can be self-sufficient. Let's do this shit. There were probably people involved in that were genuinely trying to make change, trying to set something right. Why? Because they recognize the fact that it's all fucked. And yet, because of this whole escapade, it's ruined it for everyone. Right? So like the next time someone wants to make an autonomous collective, everyone's going to go, Chaz much? Right? But at the same time, I was joking saying,
slang.
Yeah. So I was joking saying, well, you know, is this set a precedent? So like in the States,
well, yeah,
there are a
like,
shit ton of ghost towns.
It.
Right? Like there's a shit ton of ghost towns in the States. So couldn't the UnFuckers get together and just take over one of the ghost towns and say, we're making our own autonomous collection. We're going to be here. This is our land. We're taking it over. We'll be self-sufficient. And of course, the UnFuckers would do it, right? Because brain cells.
Well, we wouldn't have T-shirts. We'd just do it. We wouldn't make it a political statement.
No, we do have T-shirts. Haven't you seen the T-shirts?
Oh, no, I was about to say we probably would have T-shirts, yes. But you know what I mean? It wouldn't be like, you know, like so this is a free autonomy state. Then why do you have armed guards protecting everything?
Listen, you know what? Nicole in the UnFuckers group made a brilliant post on that one. And it was just like, well, they've set up border. Okay, so great. They want to be autonomous? Awesome. Set up border controls all the way around. They have to enter America. When you come out of Chaz, you've got to enter America, go through passport control. You've got to be stamped. You've got to be searched. You've got to go through the whole security to go in. And that means, you know, well, autonomous, that means you now buy all your electricity, your natural gas, everything at international rates, not local rates. And you now have to, you know, import all your vegetables and everything that you're going to import into your area. Well, you're going to have to pay duties on that.
Can you imagine the ambassador to the UN? This weedy little guy holding a soy latte.
A soy latte in here. Hold my joint.
But hey, at this point, if we had our own garden and collective there in a ghost town, I guess after a week, we had a space station in orbit already at this pace. You know what I mean?
But this is, listen, all kidding aside, creating an autonomous collective, creating an autonomous region, it's not easy. It is not a walk in the park, and it is not a picnic. And the vast majority of people, I would go as high as about 95% of people in Western society could not function to even manage it. because they just no concept of the work involved, no concept about digging in the dirt, hardcore, physical labor to put in fields, to build houses, to build sewage systems, to build, like, they really don't comprehend the physical challenges of it, right? That doesn't make it bad, though. It doesn't make it bad. And like I said, the problem with the whole Chaz thing is the fact that it's being run by a corrupt association that is nothing more than a bunch of bullies and thugs and taking over people's houses and lives. Yeah, no. That doesn't work that way. You're not allowed to just fucking go into an area and kick everyone else out who own homes, who own businesses. It doesn't work that way. But
So someone said, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But if you can do it, like I said, if you could walk into a ghost town, now this has been done in Spain and in Portugal, where groups have gone in to an old abandoned town and taken it over and revivified it, built it up, and become a truly autonomous collective, operational, working on a level that brings balance and everything that you could possibly want. It can be done. So could it be done in America? Bet you it fucking could. God knows, like I said, there's enough fucking ghost towns in the States.
They all have to be on the same page. At
That's
Chaz,
the problem.
someone lit a dumpster on fire, and they had to
I'll be right back. I gotta close my door.
that someone actually had to call the Seattle Fire Department. So they don't have a fire department or anything else like that. So you probably got a bunch of people like, we can do this all by ourselves. Does anyone know anything? No.
Does
Like,
anyone know how to make electricity? Does anyone know how to build a garden?
I've got to plug in my iPhone and Android. Yeah, I like the guy. They stole everything, but he can still Twitter.
It reminds me of an episode of Family Guy where Peter decides to make his own town out of coal hogs.
Boy. Well, apparently
it was
I
his
should
house.
build an ark, because British weather has come back in full force for the last week, and I think I may need to go outside and build an ark right now with the way it's raining. Could get interesting later on tonight. I don't know, guys. It's fucking insane. It's what's coming.
Well, keep in mind, they do not want this election to happen at the end of this year. So y'all got to know they're going to pull it off.
But darling, like I said, no offense, Dawn.
No, I'm not on anybody's
America's
side.
not the center of the universe. This is happening all over the world.
I know, but I'm talking about us here. Over here.
Exactly. Oh, no, and that's what I said.
And I'm not on anybody's side. I'm not on anybody's side but my own. But I'm just saying, like, I feel this was just a test run on especially over here. Everybody better have gotten the message, like you were saying, because
prepping
it's about to come down the pipe.
It could be some level of as an example that was put forward. This won't. I don't know if it will happen or not, but it'll be at the level of, say, JFK Jr. comes out and says, "I'm still alive." And that will shock everyone. It's got to be that level of change type thing.
Well, that would be some shit.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Regardless of what it is, we have enough clues by how they are acting, by the way things are rolling out, that the statement is literally got to be just be prepared. You have to be prepared, and that means prepared for you, prepared your family, your friends, your neighborhood. Be prepared, because something is obviously coming, regardless of what it is, because God knows we don't know. Something is obviously in the works. Something is obviously going to play out. So fucking be prepared. It's all I can say. Too much weirdness. Too much fucking weirdness going on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty big if they're going to shut a whole planet down.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know it.
Yep. Well, guys, I'm losing internet. I'm watching my bars are going drop, etc. So I'm gonna call this end. Apparently, it's flooding in my backyard. Holy shit, the rain is coming down. So I'm expecting the power to go out probably any minute now too. So I love you all. I'm gonna say good night, everyone. Be calm, keep your eyes open, and just be prepared for whatever they're going to sling at us next. Because there's something coming. There's definitely something coming. Bye, guys.